Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Real History with Michael, and as you can tell by my outfit and by the background, we're going to be covering the Ides of March of 44 BCE. Let's get into it. Good day, friends. So, picture it. March 15th, 44 BCE. Julius Caesar is walking to the theater of Pompey for what he thinks is the last Senate meeting before he goes off for another crusade on the 18th of March. Little does he know, this is the last day he'll be seen alive. For 60 senators conspired to murder him in that building, and that's exactly what happens. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Who's responsible? Well, guess what? You're about to find out. In this video, we're going to cover the events leading up to and the event itself, no aftermath. So settle in, buckle up, grab a snack, and come on back. Ew.
Interesting.
Welcome back, darlings. So in 44 BCE, Caesar was enjoying the fruits of his defeat over his former ally and father-in-law, Pompey the Great. The civil war between them, after the breakdown of their alliance, allowed Caesar to become dictator for 10 years. And at the time of his death, he was recently named dictator for life. So I guess his dictatorship didn't last too long. Sorry. The Senate, well, let's just see how they took that. Let's do it. While Caesar was undoubtedly living his best life came at the expense of the Senate. Their power decreased.
Who gonna check me, boo?
His power increased, and he felt the need to rub it into their faces. Finally, they had enough of it, so 60 senators conspired to murder Caesar before his next campaign on March 18th. Marcus Brutus, Gaius Cassius Longinus, Decimus Brutus Albinus, and Gaius Trebonius were all the leaders of this conspiracy. Well, so I guess you can say they didn't take to the idea too well. A little bit. Let's see what happens next. So, they began to plan. They all decided that it should be done, well, publicly. They thought at first to kill Caesar during the election in front of everybody, but logistics got in the way. And then they thought to ambush him on the way to said election, but it got too complicated. Then they thought to have gladiators that Decimus owned, because, Decimus was the Dana White of ancient Rome, do it, but that didn't really work out too well for them either. They even thought about reaching out to Mark Antony and Cicero. However, Mark Antony had turned down a prior conspiracy, and Cicero was giving off all kinds of boomer energy and was friendly to Caesar and his cohorts. Then Caesar sealed his fate by announcing his intent to leave Rome on March 18th. So back to the drawing board, they chose the Senate chamber. It was public, but not too public, which eliminated the immediate danger of bodyguards, riots, and Senate meetings were relatively frequent. The hit would go on the last Senate meeting before he left, which would be the Ides of March. Because the Senate building was being renovated, paid for by Caesar, there was nowhere to stash weapons but on their person, because it was punishable by death. So they decided instead to smuggle the goods and the weapons in their note-taking baskets. Genius, I tell you, genius! Mwahahaha.
Stabby rip stab stab.
Now that they have decided to prison shank Caesar, the senators needed to decide on what to do about Mark Antony, who would not go with the conspiracy they had last time and also threatened them. And Lepidus, a powerful general to Caesar.
And you will respect my authority!
Cassius thought it would be a good idea to,
Kill them!
But Brutus vetoed the idea, saying that they need to end the tyrant, not start a
Political revolution.
While yes, it's true that Caesar did indeed slight them, let's not forget the reason why these men ultimately wanted to kill him was to maintain the Republican ideals. Now, Caesar, he did have some warning prior to the events at hand that, hey, something might happen to you. He was warned by the psychic/prophetess Sparina that you need to beware the Ides of March.
Get your life.
While it's unknown whether or not Caesar actually heard that long note from Spirina, which was amazing, and it blessed his total existence because it blessed mine, it was clear that he was forewarned, that he had to beware the Ides of March. However, he was still seeing the company of his conspirators, even though he had an inkling maybe of what was happening. But he was seen with Decimus, who he thought was a really good friend, and Lepidus, to talk about philosophy and the campaign. And it was during this conversation, after many, many drinks, Caesar and Lepidus and Decimus decided to talk about ways and means in which they would like to die. And Caesar uttered the prophetic words, he'd like to be taken by surprise and unexpectedly. How little did he know he was foreshadowing his own death. So Caesar ate, drank, and he was merry, not knowing that he's predicting his own death with one of the men who's actually going to kill him. To make things even more ominous, Caesar's wife Calpurnia had a nightmare that ended with Caesar mangled and her covered in his blood. It's like, yo, can you imagine getting stabbed countless times by your homeboys after staying up late, having a hangover, and getting all these red flags? Can you? Anybody? Hello, somebody? Come on, somebody. Because that's exactly what's about to happen. What happens next? Let's find out. You could say that Caesar didn't exactly have a peaceful night or a nice early morning either. However, Caesar did not feel very well, but went about his duties. And in the crowd, on one of his duties, he saw Spirina and told her that the Ides of March have come, replying that, hey, he's, still alive. To which she said that they weren't over yet, so don't get excited. Caesar still felt unwell, and he planned to cancel the meeting at Calpurnia's insistence. Decimus got word of that and convinced Caesar to go despite his wife's feelings. Decimus was like playing on Caesar's manhood, his machismo, saying, you can listen to what a girl has to say. Like, what? How are the senators going to feel that you disrespected them because your wife decided she's...
I got the vapors.
Decimus wasn't having all that. After all, he worked so hard to get this plan off the ground. So after some, shall we say, motivational speaking, he got Caesar on his feet and out the house to head to the Senate meeting at the Theater of Pompey. Now, this can't be proven, but I hear that the motivation went something like this.
I was rooting for you! We were all rooting for you! How dare you!
Even still, after he got up and walked down to the Theater of Pompey, he was still getting warnings, this time from a man on the street with a letter that Caesar never opened because, of course, he had passed away. Now, after he got to Theater Pompey...
Sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come.
Pompey, he was mobbed. I do mean mobbed by senators. Cassius and Decimus were warned that people knew what was going on and they had to do whatever they had to do quickly. As Caesar entered the temple, Trebonius pulled Antony to the side while Caesar settled in on his throne. 1/5 of the Senate who met that day were in the conspiracy. Senator Cimber distracted Caesar while conspirators closed ranks on him while he spoke. Cimber ripped Caesar's toga, which was a signal, and Casca aimed a stab at him, but it was a glancing blow. He tussled with Caesar, who shouted, "This is violence!" while everyone stood idly by. When Casca called for help, his brother came up. Caesar managed to get to his feet and was immediately slashed in the face by Cassius. He was then stabbed in the wrist by Casca's brother. Conspirators blocked senators from helping Caesar and closed in ranks. A wound to his thigh overwhelmed him, and he fell to the floor, and that's when Brutus came forward and was asked, "You too, my child?" And he was stabbed in between the legs. Caesar then pulled his toga over his face, for reasons, and he died. He was stabbed a total of 23 times, many of which were post-mortem. Of his 23 wounds, the only one that was fatal was the stab between the ribs. There it is, friends. Caesar was stabbed 23 times, 5 of which were during his actual life. The other 18 were post-mortem. Now, this sounds familiar, I'm sure, because if you remember going back to our Pazzi conspiracy video, Giuliano de' Medici met the same fate. Why did he meet the same fate? Because, as according to Zion, history is what?
Repeatable.